So I see Periscope and D Live and Facebook going. I know that I believe that TalkStream Live is going, and JLP Live as well. And YouTube. Twitch should be connecting shortly, if not already. Thank you to the late diamonds from Sam Weller and Robot Moose. I'm not sure if I caught your diamonds at the end of the show yesterday. It is 9:02 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time. Thursday already. Thursday. They keep on happening. December, what is it, the 10th? December 10th. Why does that feel like a significant day to me? Is that a birthday or something? December 10th, 2020. Can you believe it? 19 states are now on board, including Texas, right? Texas has brought a lawsuit to the United States Supreme Court. Will the Supreme Court accept it? President Trump, his lawyer, is requesting to intervene, meaning join into that lawsuit because he's an interested party, and adding to it with a request that Georgia check the signatures, and 17 states plus then Arizona too. 18 states along with Texas. So that's 19 states want this Supreme Court to deal with this case of 4 battleground states that they say went rogue and violated the Constitution. I have some Utah governors who are so-called Republicans, RINOs, I say, who are mad, accusing their AG of ulterior motives, because their attorney general, this guy named Reyes, signed on to that lawsuit, or signed on to an amicus brief, or whatever you want to call it, that was brought by one of these attorneys general that said, oh, I want to join in on this. I want this lawsuit to happen. I want you guys, the Supreme Court, to hear this case. I have a clip from a Chinese man, courtesy of the great Jack Posobiec, and a tweet from Darren J. Beatty, the great Darren J. Beatty, on this Chinese man's impression of what's going on in America. And I will translate it for you. Well, I will read the translation for you as I play that clip later. And I also have Obama thinking, oh, it's conservative media, that these people can't think for themselves and accept me as a reasonable guy. They destroyed my connection with the white rural conservatives who embraced me before they exposed how I'm fooling everybody. So that's Obama. I'm going to have that and some other things. They're claiming that Barbara Feinstein is going senile. But these are liberals saying this, by the way. But what about the so-called president-elect? I don't know. And by the way, Rush Limbaugh says we're trending towards secession. That is a competitor to my show. So, guys, let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how is everybody doing? I'm fine. I will be taking your calls, 888-775-3773. Your favorite caller and my second favorite caller on the line. Favorite caller to talk trash about. And many others waiting to talk. But I told you guys in Hake News that 19 states want the Supreme Court to hear this lawsuit, this Texas lawsuit, 19 states including Texas, that these 4 battleground swing states violated the Constitution. And they had their election officials and others make unilateral decisions on changing the procedure of voting, and their excuse under the guise of protecting you guys from the voters from COVID, right? That's what they claimed. But before that, according to Maria Bartiromo of Fox Business, she stated that one of the first, she called it HR 1, House Resolution 1, or something like that. One of the first things that, before COVID, before this Chinese virus, Chinese/commie virus, that Nancy Pelosi wanted was universal mail-in voting and all this, making it easier for any old idiot to vote, right? Leaving it wide open for everybody to vote completely conveniently, right? And when you make things completely convenient, you leave it open to possible shenanigans, right? It's just a fact. There is a whole culture in the government, in the policies of our high trust society that is trusting of people. People wouldn't cheat. People wouldn't lie. People don't need voter ID, stuff like that. You can't ask somebody if they've been smoking pot or whatever. You can't say, show me your papers, please. That's discriminatory. You're profiling based on their race. I'm referring to the show me your papers law from 10 years ago or so from Arizona that they were wanting to deal with the illegal alien problem, right? The undocumented immigrants. Show me your papers, please. But they're saying that's only going to be targeting the Hispanics. That's racial or ethnic profiling. Well, they're the ones who are the most breaking the law proportionately in that way compared to their share of the population. Something like 60% are Hispanics, something like that. I don't know. So anyway, we'll see if the United States Supreme Court accepts this case in the first place. People are saying it's a long shot, but it is encouraging that attorneys general, I think these are attorney general people, attorneys general from Missouri, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, and West Virginia. And then also late in the night, Arizona, the Arizona Attorney General filed his own brief. But the amicus brief was signed on, and it was led by Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmitt. Eric, S-C-H-M-I-T-T, Schmitt. Let's get a picture of him if you can find one. I didn't give Joel much to work with, but. Under the U.S. Constitution, the times, places, and manner of holding elections may only be prescribed by the state legislature and Congress. That's what the Constitution says. The states wrote encroachments on the authority of the state legislatures by other state actors, violated the separation of powers, and threatened individual liberty. So they're trying. S-C-H-M-I-T-T. Eric Schmitt is the guy who is leading this amicus brief, or whatever you want to call it. This front of the court thing, amicus curiae. I don't know how you pronounce that stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I don't speak Latin. Eric Schmitt pushed this thing. Missouri Attorney General. There he is. He looks trustworthy. No, I don't know. Some of these guys, maybe they're just RINOs, but they see the writing on the wall. They see all of the support for President Trump. There he is, the family man. I like his boy. That's a cute picture. Family picture. Totally trustworthy. I don't know about, some of these people are probably just phony politicians who are just signing on with this thing to pretend like they're with Trump and with the Trump supporters. Who knows? But I'm glad that they're doing it because they see that the people it's like some close to half the people don't like the results of the election. Or what's the reported results of the election, as you might call it, right? So they said that the relaxing of the safeguards for mail-in ballots created needless vulnerability to actual fill in the blank, right? Actual shenanigans, and undermined public confidence in the election. And that's just true. It just is. Think about how you think about the election. Think about how almost half the people feel about this election. And then everybody else is covering their ears, including the mainstream media, including YouTube and Google, and saying, la, 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 too late. The safe harbor date has passed, and all 50 states have certified this, and never mind these lawsuits, and there was no evidence of shenanigans, they say. They just say it. It doesn't have to be true. They just say it. There's also no evidence of, by their standard, there's no evidence of, I don't want to say that either, because you're not supposed to say there's no evidence of climate change, or there's no evidence of, you can say there's no evidence of evolution probably still, right? But climate change, they'll get you. These platforms on which we stream, right? They don't let you say there's no evidence of man-made catastrophic climate change. But they will say it was Russian collusion that swung the election and let President Trump win because the people are too dumb. They like Barack Obama looks down on conservatives, right? He does. He judges them. He says, oh, if it weren't for Rush and Fox News and Rush are just saying what the people are thinking. And Fox News is even holding back too much. They're not, they've kind of become very weak because, women-led, kissing up to the gays and everybody else, women and all that stuff, kind of weak. So removing signature verification, extending the deadline to receive mail-in ballots, failing to implement consistent statewide standards for the handling of mail-in ballots. Those are things that the Texas lawsuit alleges. Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich later in the day filed a request to the top court for permission to file his own brief in support of the Texas suit. I don't know. I think with 19 states all doing this, it seems like there's a halfway decent chance that the Supreme Court will do it, but it remains to be seen. I guess it's kind of useless to talk about something that hasn't happened, right? What a mess. But CNN tells you all 50 states of and Washington, D.C., led by Muriel Bowser, whatever her name is, have now certified their presidential election results. The next major step in the Electoral College process is Monday's meeting of the electors. This coming Monday. Wow. President Trump escalated his baseless, I winked, claims of blank yesterday, asking the Supreme Court to intervene in a lawsuit, which I don't think they wrote that right. I don't think they know what that means. Seeking to invalidate millions of votes allegedly cast in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Meanwhile, what the media calls President-elect Joe Biden is putting in cabinet appointees, right? Or people that he wants to appoint to his cabinet, including, he's still asked to choose his attorney general. He's a wannabe president, right? He's still asked to choose an attorney general. Obama had Eric Holder, and then he switched from Eric Holder to Loretta Lynch. President Trump had Jeff Sessions, the senator from Alabama, conservative guy. I don't know if he's a little weak. He seems like it. President Trump was deeply disappointed in his recusing himself and not letting him know that he was going to recuse himself from this fake Russia investigation. And then after Sessions left, I think he might have gotten fired. I don't know. Then they put in this Bill Barr guy, another non-wingman, but they're pretending that he was a wingman, a lackey. Ridiculous. So Joe Biden's pick would be like that Alabama Senator Doug Jones, the one who got 98% or 97%. I think it was 98% of the black female vote in Alabama in 2017 to replace Jeff Sessions. He beat out Roy Moore after the Washington Compost smeared the great Judge Roy Moore, former Alabama Supreme Court Justice, state Supreme Court Justice, Roy Moore, smeared in the media. They tried to call him a pedophile. Disgusting. I know one Christian woman, liberal, fake Christian, right? She died. She was my age or younger. Died. Some crazy thing. But she had smeared just recently. It was kind of some crazy brain thing. She was a young mother, married mother of children, white lady, Rachel Held Evans. All popular with the liberal fake college Christians, you know? Including like some liberal professor of mine. She called Roy Moore a pedophile and called me, she got in a Twitter battle with me and called me a racist and stuff. It's like so dumb. And she's like a Christian writer. She's written many books, or was, right? She's dead now. Left behind a few children, I think, and a husband. White, I think. Look at this woman. People like her, respectable Christian ladies. She's like millennial, right? But she died. Crazy, huh? Wow. There's her husband and two of her kids. I guess, I don't know if she had 2 or 3, but she was like from the Pacific Northwest. One of those typical liberal white female, so-called Christian liberal females. Cringy. Rest my case says, I don't want to repeat it. Well, I mean, I have to repeat it. She's dancing with Jesus now. I don't know if that's the case. She was supporting Democrats. Blind, brainwashed. How'd she die? I think it was a brain, like some crazy brain thing. It like came upon pretty suddenly. Something happened. A year or 2 ago. Maybe less than a year. But she was calling this Roy Moore guy a pedophile based on accusations where he didn't even do anything with the person that he was accused of messing around with. And in those days, like, the culture was completely different too, by the way. And they call that pedophilia. They want you to be 40 before you ever get married. That way you can't have any kids. And they do this to the whites, right? Because the whites are compliant and want to get into their, let's make sure we can afford this stuff. What a shame. What a setup. The feminists are miserable. And the male feminists are into their pornography and stuff. What a mess. So Joe Biden's pick is Doug Jones, maybe. Doug Jones, that guy who was senator. He got ousted, by the way. I think a Republican took back over that Senate seat, U.S. Senate seat from Alabama. That was Doug Jones. That was a long side note about Doug Jones and stuff surrounding him. Judge Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was the guy who Obama wanted to be the next Supreme Court justice to replace the late. What is that? I think he was an Italian. Scalia. Justice Scalia, who died. It was reported he had a pillow over his head. I'm laughing because that was strange language, and it made everybody suspect that Justice Scalia was, what is it, when they put a pillow over your face and you can't, smothered, something like that, and can't breathe to kill you. But he died, another kind of freak incident. Didn't seem to be having major health problems. At least he wasn't, like, obviously on his way out, but he died. He was a decent conservative man, one of the tough ones. And they tried to replace him with this Merrick Garland guy. Obama did. Fortunately, the RINOs in the Senate would not go forward with it. They're like, no, we can't wait. We can't do this. Let's let Trump get in office. And then we got, who was it? Gorsuch, I guess. Neil Gorsuch replaced Scalia. And Neil Gorsuch is not Scalia. Let's put it that way. But it's better than I say maybe than Merrick Garland. And then Sally Yates. Who is Sally Yates? I used to hear that name. Sally Killian Yates, former U.S. Attorney General. She was an Attorney General before. From 2010 to 2015, she was state's attorney for Georgia. Deputy Attorney General. Yeah, I don't think she was, I don't know. She's 60 years old. Born in Atlanta, 5'6". Democrat. Deputy Attorney General under the Obama administration. Deputy Attorney General. I guess underneath Loretta Lynch. Loretta Lynch, the black female second Attorney General under Obama. Those are bad picks. Supposedly top contenders. Gross. That's Sally Yates. She looks nice. Nice and evil. Biden's also trying to sell his choice for defense secretary, some retired Army General, Lloyd Austin. You know, if somebody's a general, you don't necessarily have to respect that. Because look at all these generals that President Trump has had in his cabinet, and they turned out to be total traitors, backstabbers. General Kelly, John Kelly, I almost said Mike Kelly. John Kelly, General James Mad Dog Mattis. Total traitor, supporting Black Lives Matter, scum of the earth. And he said something else recently that was awful. Oh my gosh. I didn't know he was black. This is what, thank you, Joel. Army General Lloyd Austin. Lloyd, I guess that can be considered a black American name. Oh yeah, he looks serious. Lloyd Austin, congressional Democrats are on the fence. Austin's nomination would require a special waiver, special treatment for the black man, because he's only been out of active duty military service for 4 years, instead of the required 7 years for the post as defense secretary. Supposed to be out for 7 years. I guess that way you get more separation from the people, so you're not so much influenced by the people who are under you, I guess. That is what Biden is trying to sell. A black guy. Who knows? Can you picture Biden taking office in January? I can't, but maybe it'll happen. Can you picture Trump beating this thing? I can't, but maybe that'll happen. Don't count Trump out, right? What a mess. So right on to those 17, 18, 19 states standing with the president and standing for, standing as the voice of the people who say, hold on now, let's take a closer look at this. These people pulled shenanigans by, the COVID thing. Trump was railing against the mail-in ballot thing. And of course, there's no evidence that there's mail-in ballot fraud, because it hadn't happened on a mass scale before. And when you get rid of signature checks, how are you supposed to find evidence? You can't. Because you got rid of one way to have evidence that it was valid or not. Ridiculous. Jesse Lee Peterson is hosting the Hake Report on D Live. Thank you, man. Thank you to I forget how to pronounce your name, man. June Valentino. Gifting a subscription to Kid Combo. Congrats. Thank you to Noah's Ark, Kansas, with a diamond. And to Hot Computer Smell. She says, having trouble sleeping? Don't worry. Hake has Earl's calls time-stamped. Yeah, I do. I try to time-stamp the show afterwards. I put it in the description and in the top comment for YouTube, in the description for YouTube, and the description for Facebook, because I post it on Facebook too, and in the description for the audio podcast, guys. So if you ever want to know like where I talked about what, generally I try to put some timestamps for when you guys called in, like when I picked up your calls, when I talked about this or that, stuff like that. YouTube normally will break up the video into chapters for you when you put it in there, but they discriminate against me. They don't put it. Maybe it's because I have 2 strikes. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Let me get to some calls, and then I will cover more of this stuff. I actually have to deal with Obama and the Chinese guy, and I will tell you about these Utah RINOs who are mad at their attorney general for jumping on board with this. But quickly, let me get to Earl in Michigan. I know. Earl, how are you doing?
Hola.
Hey.
Buenos dias.
What's up?
Senior James. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Nice. You're doing
But,
good?
Yeah.
How can an evil man do good?
I wanted you to say that no man is good, just so you can say no man is good.
No, but you can do good, but I don't think you can do good.
I can feel good.
Yeah, you can feel good.
So when you ask me how I'm doing good.
But doing good means you're doing moral good.
No, that's the only way you interpret it.
That's English. It's white English anyway.
Well, I want to touch on one of your callers, Greg from Illinois. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Greg. who addressed me.
All aggressive.
Or what'd you say?
I said all aggressive.
Yes, I'm talking about this self-appointed Einstein that thinks he can deal with facts and disparage anybody else.
Oh, yeah, because
now
wasn't it ridiculous, Earl? You reminded me of his call. He was talking about especially Tony from California, pretending
he
that...
included all of us in there.
Yeah, he did. He included you too. Pretending that... What do you think about Tony?
I'm not speaking for Tony, and so
I know, but
I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, well, what do you think about Tony pretending that Kyle Rittenhouse...
I'm not going to comment on Tony. He has a right to his opinion and so forth.
What do you think
Just
about...
like Craig in Illinois.
Hold on. What do you think about Tony calling Kyle Rittenhouse a murderer and saying stuff that wasn't true?
That's his opinion.
It's his opinion to lie?
No, that's
lies are not up for
lie.
opinion. He's stating stuff as matter of fact. He's saying that...
Well, he can call him. He can call him that, whether he's that or not. That stands to be seen.
He's saying that... No, it does not remain to be seen. He's innocent. Everybody saw that he's innocent.
Is that a fact?
Yes, it's a fact.
Has he been tried?
No, it has not.
Then he's not innocent.
He is innocent. He's innocent unless
He's
proven
innocent
guilty.
In your eyes. Do you pronounce
He's innocent
judgment
in
on
the
it?
eyes.
Are you the judge?
Hey, Earl, he's innocent.
Is he in your courtroom? What?
He's innocent in the eyes of the court, too. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
another thing
And
that
it's yet
Tony
to be
said,
determined.
another thing Tony said is that they didn't grab at his gun. That's another lie, he said.
Well,
They
you
clearly
talked to
grabbed
Tony
at his
about
gun.
that. That's not nice. You talked to Tony about that.
No, but I'm telling you, what do you think about him lying about the facts? Because this was the purpose of Greg's call.
I'm not going to comment on what Tony says, and that's between him and you.
No, because you're calling in about Greg, and Greg said that you guys lie. And then you pretend that Breonna Taylor was this sweet innocent woman.
And you pretend that she was guilty because of association.
No, I don't pretend that. I said that she is wrong for...
Now, what facts...
She's wrong for being girlfriends with a drug dealer.
Man, Who are you to talk about who's wrong to have any relationship with anybody?
I'm Hake.
I mean, that's stupid.
No, it's not stupid. Oh, okay, you're telling me that I'm stupid to say that she's wrong for being girlfriends with a drug dealer. Having been girlfriends with a drug dealer. You don't care about blacks.
People doing drugs have relationships all the time. Don't mean that person associated with them is in drugs, too.
It doesn't matter, but she's wrong for associating with that guy. You don't care about blacks.
Like,
you don't care about blacks.
If you're talking about guilt by association, that means like if a parent has a kid that's on drugs and doing drugs, then they're guilt by association.
You don't care about blacks, Earl. You don't care about blacks.
No, you're making stupid arguments.
No, you don't care about blacks.
You're saying
you don't care. You don't care.
You just make it. That's
you're
when
fake.
you're going deflecting.
You're fake, Earl.
I know that's one of your
you're hiding.
tactics.
You're hiding from the fact that she should not.
One of your, it won't work, buddy.
You're hiding from the fact.
Stupid tactics.
He's hiding from the fact that you shouldn't be becoming girlfriends with a drug dealer. But she was poorly raised, and he doesn't even want to face that fact. That's just common sense. And he says that that's stupid.
I was wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong.
I'd like to point out exactly. He said he only deal with facts. In fact, I was the one that brought Breonna Taylor to your attention. None of your listeners knew about it.
And?
So,
how do you know what none of my listeners knew about? What do you know? Earl, what do you know what my listeners knew or didn't know about?
I don't know exactly what they knew and don't.
Why are you saying stuff that you don't know to be true? You're pretending that you're the only one listening to this show who knew about it.
Did he know about it before I mentioned it?
I don't know. I probably knew about it before you mentioned it.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I might have.
You had no idea.
I might have. Just because you knew about something.
You didn't.
Just because
I talked to you about it.
Earl.
You had no idea.
Earl, just because you're all into the black thing, all into this fake black victimhood thing.
I'm just speaking of facts, buddy.
No, it's not facts.
You want to challenge me on facts.
Just because you're all into this, just because he's all into this fake black thing, doesn't prove anything. Doesn't mean that you're about the truth. Just because you're the first one at something, that's dumb.
Reading capacity, because.
Earl, did you know that you were on hold right now?
No, I didn't know.
Because when you talk over me and you don't shut up, I put you on hold. Because you need to learn how to behave. Earl, you need to learn how to behave.
And you need to let people talk and stop.
I don't need to do anything but stay white and live.
I know that's probably your arrogance.
My error? Anyway.
Your arrogance.
Okay, that's rich.
What?
That's rich. You think you're the first one to bring Breonna Taylor to everybody's consciousness, everyone who ever listened to this show.
On your show.
Yeah. Okay. You don't know what you're talking about.
And the thing about it is, there's so much that you didn't know. I wonder, did you watch the 2020
I gotta go, Earl.
episode?
Nice talking with you, man. I gotta go. What a mess. Let me get to Ty and PA. Ty wants to talk about the election from Pennsylvania. What's up, man?
What's up, Hake?
Hey.
Yo. You hear me?
Yep.
Let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
Where do you think where's the first place Trump is going to go when he leaves the White House on January 21st?
I don't know that he's leaving the White House January 21st. Maybe to get re-inaugurated?
Dude, he's out of here.
So says you. But it's not over yet.
Yo, you
are you aware? Ty, are you aware that there are lawsuits happening? One that's even filed with the Supreme Court.
He lost 50 lawsuits already.
It only takes one. If he wins this Supreme Court one, which is a long shot, admittedly, if he wins this Supreme Court one, then what are you gonna say?
I'm gonna. You have to. It's America. You got to follow the law.
Thank you.
However, it's not gonna happen.
Okay, Mr. Predict the Future guy. Are you a fortune teller?
No, but he lost.
He has not lost at this point.
He lost. He's out of here, buddy.
Okay. Thanks, man. That's boring. Dark Side of the Bear, what? Gave a diamond and said, yo, based Hake, stay white and live. Amen. Marcus Jones Stink says, whenever Earl talks, I go to chat and forget him, LOL. Meaning he doesn't pay attention to what's going on. I understand how that is. When you talk in the chat, you get distracted. That's why I encourage, like when you're in church, listening to Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, probably stay away from the chat because you'll get distracted really easily. And you'll miss what's going on. All right? Let me get to Art in Ohio. He wants to talk about Ohio cops. Art, he has a tip for us.
Hey,
What's up?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Fine.
All right. Well, yeah, I want to give a shout out to the police officers in Liberty Township near Youngstown, Ohio, that busted a 14-man trafficking sting or whatnot, man. So I want to give them a shout out or whatnot for doing a good job on that, because that's the main thing that we try to do is protect the innocent, old and young. You know what I mean? And definitely want to give a shout out to Alpha Representative Jordan for standing up for Trump in America, for them trying to steal our rights as American citizens to be able to vote. You know what I mean?
Jordan,
So
you're talking about the Jim Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Of Ohio? Is he from Ohio?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Honorable Jordan. Yes, sir.
All right.
So check this out.
So
crazy
let me
to
just
me.
read this.
Go ahead,
Let me read this news report of this thing that you mentioned.
Go ahead.
Is it MLB related? Major League Baseball umpire Brian Onara. Oh man. Well, okay. So according to this WBNS local CBS 10 TV report, 14 men were arrested in a human trafficking sting in Northeast Ohio. And I'm seeing blacks, whites. Crazy. 14 men arrested during a single-day human trafficking sting in Liberty Township near Youngstown, according to a release from Attorney General Dave Yost, targeting individuals who were trying to buy sex off of the internet. Took place December 6th. That was Sunday, conducted by several law enforcement agencies. Wow. Interesting. Seeking to purchase sex. So if they're doing that, they want to, if they're cracking down on that, it supposedly reduces the demand for human trafficking and serves as a reminder that these are crimes more prevalent and closer to home than you may think, said Yost, charged with soliciting and possessing criminal tools. Wow.
Hey.
Yeah.
FYI to the listeners. See how when you talk, I don't talk, I listen. See,
yeah.
Cynthia A. Johnson, see, they don't have to cut my mic off because I talk too much, because I know how to stop and pause, and I know when to go, green light and go. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then, all right, so long story short, what's the problem with the black people to where they don't sing, or not even the black people, well, yeah, the black people especially, because I'm trying to figure out how any white liberal news or anybody else could try to make me believe, if everybody is saying that it's a fraud, that I need to just go ahead and just be quiet and just go ahead and let Biden get into office, instead of figuring out why is half or more than half of the people thinking that it's a fraud. Let alone, this is something, the same thing that they did back in the South, meaning Mississippi, Alabama, and the places down there in Louisiana and whatnot, where they wouldn't let the blacks vote because of the 14th Amendment. When they did they did pass in the legislation letting the blacks vote, they were still trying to hinder the blacks people from going in there and voting, meaning the white people were trying to keep them out or not even count their votes back in the day. Why is it seeming to be a problem that they don't understand that that's the same thing going on with Trump, and that if you don't have your right to vote, then you might as well go ahead and kill yourself? Because you're being silenced, and your voice ain't nobody trying to hear what you're trying to say when you're part of the society. I'm trying to figure out how Americans don't see that. Everybody should be everybody should be mad about this. Not me and you. Everybody.
The reason is it's backwards because the communists accuse you of what they're doing. They accuse you of trying to invalidate the votes of millions of Americans, when in fact we're trying to keep things honest and not invalidate the votes of millions of Americans.
Yeah.
75 million people voted for President Trump in this election. And I understand there was higher turnout because everybody made it. First of all, there was a whole lot of hype about the election. And some of the hype was warranted, right? Because Trump is a good man, decent man. No man is good, right? Trump is decent and he stands for good. And Biden is evil and stands for evil. And so there's that. And then there was the mail-in voting and all of that stuff, and making it more convenient than ever to vote. And so, of course, there's going to be higher turnout for that reason, too. But I don't know. That's a lot of votes that Trump got.
Man, that's way too many. And the things that these liberals don't seem to understand, well, they understand, but they just seem to think that everybody's on that dumb low frequency, that they don't understand that the paper trail, the money trail, and numbers don't lie. You see what I'm saying? So you can go with your feelings all you want to go with your feelings or whatnot, but the numbers ain't going to lie and the facts are going to remain the same. And to that last caller, T.Y., man, get off of that. Get off. Yeah, man. Why don't you learn a little bit, man? It's more than one Supreme Court. Every state got a Supreme Court. It's one major Supreme Court, though. When the major, the U.S. Supreme Court, meaning the high up, the last law of the land, the major it's 7 of the judges. That's the last place, the Supreme Court. Once they make their ruling, then it's said and done. All these other places, like this, making these little rulings in Michigan, they're not really the law of the land. That's one court, and then it goes up to the next court, the next level. So it's that T.Y. don't know what he's talking about or whatnot. I mean, he got an idea, but he don't. He's on this buy-in trip or whatnot. They just so in a rush to think that they getting in there or whatnot, and they're not. It's so. But go ahead.
He called in about the same thing like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. So it was like boring after a while.
Well, I mean, the thing is, once again, just like we said, he obviously don't know what he's talking about because it's one last Supreme Court that it got to go through. Yeah,
very true.
And then another thing about the one dude who called on Dress, he talking about, or it might have been on this show talking about. He follows the police around or whatnot, and tries to audit them or whatnot. And it's like, buddy, what do you think that Pennsylvania's gonna do to you? They got Bill Cosby locked in there. Allegedly, I'm thinking under false charges or whatnot. I don't know how true they are, especially when you got somebody like Biden that was in office for 47 years, and that's where he's from. I don't think
he's from PA. I don't think that Biden is from PA, but your point remains. They elect a bunch of Democrats over in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia.
Yeah, so I don't understand how you think that you're going to get any type of justice around some dang on democratic liberals.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I think he's misguided. He has a false mission in life that is not necessary. And a whole lot of people get caught up in one little cause or another, and they dedicate their whole life to it, and people applaud them for it. And then they go around thinking that they're doing the right thing when they're not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm about to say, Jesse told him, right, he need to return back to his father. If he can't return back to his father, he need to get right with God or whatnot. And some things ain't meant for you to do. It might not be for good for you to be auditing. You know what I mean? That might not be what God sent you out here to do, so switch up.
And that was a nice question. He's referring to a call from towards the end of the Jesse Lee Peterson show. This caller, black guy from PA, Philadelphia area, wanted to know how to put on the full armor of God or apply the full armor of God when dealing with the police, because he records the police a lot, records their interactions because he heard somebody in New York was falsely imprisoned, and 70% of the people in prison haven't committed any crimes and stuff like that. I don't know. He was on
What
a
do you
trip.
think about?
But that's nice
One
that
more
he
thing.
wanted to be a Christian. He wanted to do it right. So people have nice intentions, but they are completely misguided. So
What he need to want to do is
He
follow
called the right-
commandments. That's what he.
he called the right man for it, though. So that's cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. He need to make sure he following the commandments too, because all this talking about I'm a Christian and I'm a Christian and this and this and this and that. If you ain't following the commandments, then you peeing in the wind.
That's true. It's kind of like the rich young ruler who went to Jesus and said, "Hey, I've done everything. You know, I've followed all the commandments since I was a child. What must I do?" And he went to the right man there too. He went to Jesus,
Yeah.
the Son of God, but then he didn't listen. He didn't agree to
Hey.
what Jesus said to do.
One more thing, hey, don't you think it's funny how the fake Christians, they always want to talk about, oh, it's good, all this good this and good that, but when God or when evil comes, they don't know how to survive the evil. They just think this is always supposed to be good, and then when the evil comes, then they turn away from God. What do you think about that? They don't understand how to take the good with the bad. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because
Well,
that's affecting like so many of us, and that's why we are losing, and that's why I don't think that we should put a whole lot of stock into the outcome of elections and things when we're not perfect ourselves. We need to be perfect, and yes, fight for what's right in the election, but also not be tripping out about it because we have to be on a solid foundation ourselves in the midst of it, and then we can win. And win in the right way.
I was about to say thank you for taking my call. I'm going to get off here and let more people get on. God bless you, Jesse, and my four specialists. Thank you.
All right.
Trump 2020.
Nice.
Trump Pence 2020.
Agree. Take care, Art.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
Okay,
you.
buddy. Yep.
Let me quickly get to Killian in Boston, Massachusetts. I cut those guys off because, I mean, Earl doesn't even want to address the points as they are. He wants to talk about 2020 and I knew more than you and blech. And then Ty just repeating the same thing. Oh, it's over, it's over, it's over. That's boring. It should be embarrassing to these guys that they hate justice. And they won't take a stand against getting involved with drug dealers. Oh, you're right. She had no business being with a drug dealer. That's all you have to say, Earl. But no, he doesn't even want to admit that. Ridiculous. Let me get to Killian, though, in Boston, Massachusetts. Killian, what's up?
Hey, Hake, I got to say, the more and more I listen to this Earl guy, the more and more he's got me convinced of his philosophy.
What's his philosophy?
He's just a master wordsmith, you know. It's just
That's interesting.
I'm sold. I'm sold.
Are you being sarcastic?
Of course not. I'm never sarcastic.
Interesting, man.
I tried to call in to Jesse earlier. I wanted to ask him my own biblical question, but
Go for it.
He cut me off after about 5 words. He's like, "Hey, thanks for calling in,"
Oh, okay.
and that was it. No, I wanted to ask him, I guess I'll ask you, do you think Martin Luther was good or bad for the Christian religion worldwide?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know much about history. I know that Martin Luther, was he the one who nailed up the things?
Yeah. He was pissed off about the indulgences.
Yeah, on the Catholic Church, and so the indulgences were priests saying, buy me this or buy me that or give me this or give me that, and then you will be forgiven, my child. Right? Is that what
No,
indulgence?
it wasn't even to get forgiven. It was basically you could pay the church, and they would give you a coupon where you were allowed to do free sins in the future.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that sounds like that's corruption, and it sounds like he was calling out corruption, but that part's good. There may be other parts about him that aren't, but I don't know about them.
Well, what came about it afterwards is that you had the schism where they split into like the Protestant Reformation, and then you had like hundreds of years of religious wars in Europe where people were just hitting each other over the heads with axes and swords for days on end.
That's interesting, man. And that's all about like a power struggle. And it's kind of what the New Testament warned against with this, I follow Paul, I follow Apollos, I follow Christ stuff. Don't be divided. But the church got divided. But then it probably looks to them, and they probably is some truth to it, like they were fighting against evil that was infiltrating the church. So
yeah, it was like he intended for good, you know, with his own sect that they kind of split off.
Yeah.
But in the end, when you look at modern day, Protestants are a lot more degenerate than Catholics nowadays. Catholics are a lot more traditional and conservative, whereas
it depends.
Protestants are more than happy to put the rainbow flag in their church.
Yeah, I mean that is true amongst a lot of the Protestants. But I mean, look at the Catholics. That's like being on top of the dung pile now, because look at the Pope. He's a mess. Look at the Mexican Catholics and the Hispanic Catholics. They mix it with their I want to call it paganism, but it's not paganism, right? Because isn't paganism
like the
white?
Aztec religion.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. They're all into like worshiping the mother.
It's like It's like if you go into the deep corners of the internet, you can get the cartel videos where they're like cutting people's hearts out and stuff, and it's like that's what they've been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah,
it's in their
so
genetics.
True. Yeah, well, maybe it's in the genetics.
That's
I don't think
why I
so
wanted
necessarily.
To ask Jesse, because he's the expert. He's the expert, you know. I wanted to ask
an
him
expert
if,
in
Martin Luther was good or bad for Christianity at large.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't think he's an expert on the history stuff, though. You a Catholic?
I'm a sede vacantis Catholic.
Can you repeat the first two words of that?
Sede vacantis. It's Latin.
Okay.
It means empty chair, which basically is you're a Catholic, but you don't believe in the Pope. I believe the Pope is a heretic.
Okay.
Ever since Vatican II Council, and the last legitimate Pope we had was Pope Pius X.
Okay.
Or the 12th.
Interesting, man.
There's so many of them, you know.
Was Peter the first Pope? Do I have that?
So.
I have that impression correct?
The throne of St. Peter.
Okay.
But
you grew up that way?
In the 70s. What's that?
You grew up that way?
No. My parents were totally atheists. They were both degenerate hippies, and it was only later in life that I found Catholicism.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
33.
Okay. Jesus' age.
Yeah, basically all my ancestors from both my mom and dad's family were all Catholic, and I just refused to think that they were all idiots.
Do you think the founding of America was corrupt at the start?
Yeah, they're all bootleggers and smugglers.
Dang, that's harsh.
No,
what's wrong with that?
The people in charge, not like the farmers and stuff. I mean, there was a lot.
That's true. And what about the pilgrims who came here?
Oh, Plymouth? That's a stone's throw from where I live.
What do you think of those pilgrims? Do you know anything about them?
Oh, yeah. Growing up around here, they teach about the pilgrims since preschool. I don't know. They're good people. They were Protestants.
Yeah.
And they were fleeing persecution over in Europe and England and whatnot. And they came over here and they showed up and there was like nobody around. So they're like, let's start up a commune. And so they were basically communists at the beginning.
That's what I heard.
And then they realized that communism didn't work because a bunch of people were just trying to eat other people's food.
Yeah.
So they got rid of the communism aspect, and then they started doing better.
Right.
And then a bunch of Indians randomly showed up, and they were like, "Hey, what the hell's going on?" And they were friendly at first, and then they started fighting, and then we had King Philip's War, which was pretty devastating, where 2/3 of the entire population of New England was savagely butchered by savages.
Wow. 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3 of the entire population, women and children and everything.
Yeah. And is that what the founding fathers who wrote the Declaration of Independence were referring to when they talked about the savages who had no regard for women and children and the old and sick, that they would
can't imagine who
murder
else they
everybody?
were talking about.
I guess so. Wow.
they weren't talking about the Nephilim.
True. Interesting, man. You know a lot of stuff about history.
Yeah, I love history. I read a lot. I read every day, and I don't know. Maybe next time I'll tell you about the Nazi bases down in Antarctica.
Wow. Flat Earth or ball tard for you?
I believe that the moon is square.
But that doesn't answer my question, man.
Well, I don't want to reveal my power level.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you, man. It's good to hear from you.
You as well.
All right. Take care.
Have a great show.
Thank you. So quickly, in the last couple of minutes here of this hour, Utah RINOs, I call them RINOs, are mad at the Attorney General. And I saw this from independent journalist, liberal guy, Michael Tracy. And probably liberal is like an understatement, but I still consider him American, right? Herbert and Cox. This is from KSL, and this was that headline that we showed you. Herbert and Cox, I guess those are well, I'll tell you in a sec. They are expressed disapproval over the Utah Attorney General's decision to join the Texas lawsuit challenging election results. KSL.com. This is in Utah. Independent journalist Michael Tracy tweeted, by the way, interesting chasm. Is it chasm or chasm? Between certain GOP governors and GOP attorneys general on this Texas lawsuit. And he notes that AG, short for Attorney General, is sometimes known as AG aspiring governor. So that may explain the political dynamics at play. Well, maybe. It's interesting that he seems to think that there's ulterior motives on the part of the AG. I mean, I guess it's reasonable to suspect that there are ulterior motives in a politician. Yeah, okay. So, Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes, I believe that that's this guy. Sean Reyes, the pictured, announced on Wednesday that Utah has joined into an amicus brief in support of the Texas petition to the United States Supreme Court to review the constitutionality of the election process, specifically in those 4 battleground states. PA, I think Pennsylvania. This guy looks like he's Hispanic. It's from Desert News. Scott G. Winterton took the photo. Thank you. Credit to the photographer. And he says, because all Americans need clarity and confidence in our national elections, I have joined the amicus brief supporting the petition of Texas and urge the Supreme Court to address this issue once and for all, Reyes said in a statement on Wednesday. Shortly thereafter, Governor Gary Herbert and Governor-elect Spencer Cox, so it's the governor and the governor-elect, and I think they're both Republicans, so-called, Utah. The heavy Mormon population in Utah, by the way, that's where Mitt Romney became senator of Utah. Ridiculous. After failing in his presidential bid to oust President Obama, the worst president, who should have just been a one-term president, but Mitt Romney fought like a girl, like a little girl, right? They released a joint statement, Spencer Cox and Gary Herbert, the governor and the guy who got elected to replace him, right? Released a joint statement expressing disapproval of Reyes' decision to join that amicus brief. The Attorney General did not consult us before signing on to this brief, so we don't... I put a WH. I put we, but it's we don't know what his motivation is, their statement reads. Just as we would not want other states challenging Utah's election results, we do not think we should intervene in other states' elections. Pretending to be fair, right? Pretending to be fair. Candidates who wish to challenge election results have access to the courts without our involvement. This is an unwise use of taxpayers' money. What does it cost to sign an amicus brief for the Utah Attorney General to sign an amicus brief to join this thing that half the people of the country seemingly are questioning the wisdom of all this mail-in ballot stuff and all that stuff? But they're pretending like, oh, we wouldn't want other states to challenge our results. Well, what if your results were the result of opening things up too much to be any little idiot can vote and not necessarily honestly, right? They claim that this is an unwise use of taxpayers' money. They didn't consult us. He's the Attorney General. He doesn't have to consult you. Attorney General has his lane. The governors have theirs. RINO governors, I say. Establishment. And that's what I hear when I look at the responses of people who claim to be from Utah. That these are establishment guys. Meaning RINOs. It's like a good old boys club. And then this guy got in by the will of the people. This Sean Reyes guy. One guy claimed that he is a Democrat, an anti-Biden Democrat, right? I don't know why he's a Democrat. But he changed his party affiliation in order to vote for this Attorney General because he doesn't like the corruption of the Republican Party, which rules the state of Utah. Isn't that interesting? It's kind of like me voting for, I didn't change parties, but I voted for Jackie Lacey to not be replaced by this George Gascon who's 10 times worse than she is. And she's no angel. She apologized for her husband pointing a gun at people who came onto her porch when they had no business being on her porch, their porch, his porch, really. Her husband's porch. The Black Lives Matter scum of the earth who showed up outside her house. What a mess. Let me read to you the words, and you'll hear underneath what they're saying. You'll hear the Chinese guy. This is a Dongsheng. You may have heard about him. I think he's like a professor or something. He's spoken in China and talked about how with Biden, we get our way. With Trump, we don't get our way in China, right? This is a tweet from Darren J. Beatty, decent guy on Twitter, Darren J. Beatty. He has said that President Trump should have Jesse Lee Peterson be in charge of race relations in this country. Interesting, huh? I believe he tweeted that. But anyway, he said Chinese elites not only understand America better than American elites understand China, Chinese elites understand America better than most American elites understand America. Interesting. And he was quote tweeting this video clip and statement from Jack Posobiec, who wrote on Twitter, Renmin University professor Dongsheng talks about how the U.S. government really works. And so I have this clip. You know which one it is, Joel? 12, yeah. And I have it kind of quiet. You may have to bring it down a little bit more even, but I have it kind of quiet so that hopefully I can speak over it and read it to you guys because he's speaking Chinese. And most of you guys don't understand Chinese, right? So let me just pull this up too so that I can follow along closely. Okay, here we go. I'll read this to you as he's talking. Oh, man. Get that out of the way. Get me out of the way. I can't read that. Okay, he's saying, can you start it over? What a mess. Yeah, put me in the top corner. There we go. We're just working out technical details on the spot. Here we go. What the United States, the fact is the United States really doesn't exist. What really exists are different interest groups. At present, the U.S. has a divided society. We call it the establishment, with the people of power and influence. It's worth mentioning one particular group of elites called the deep state. The deep state. Interesting. Who are these people, he says? Of course, there are slightly different understandings. My understanding is these people are the mid and senior leaders from the U.S. military, intelligence community, the State Department, Department of Treasury, Department of Congress, all these people in the executive branch under Trump. Trade, all that. These people hold competitive service or accepted service positions. They are not executive service figures. Within the Capital Beltway, they're the big fish hidden in the swamp who Trump disgusts the most. Trump does not like the swamp. Interesting. In the United States, political figures are elected and they come and go. But the deep state, the group I just mentioned, are the people who remain in the power circle. Civil servants, right? I have dealt with those people, this guy says. In the past 70 years since World War II, they're the ones who've been running the United States. And we have all this respect for the FBI, running the entire capitalism in the US and operating the Cold War. It is this small circle that actually dominates the world today. The deep state. Now, how do the people in this circle view President Trump? In general, they despise Trump because they think they are the real master of the US capitalism. Wow. This is a Chinese guy talking. A professor. They consider Trump as an outsider. That's why at the end of 2016, when the US so-called democracy actually became real, and a man of the people, for the people, got it? They were caught off guard. They couldn't believe someone like Trump could be elected. Can you imagine of the feelings of people from this group, the deep state? It must feel like their world was falling apart, or like the sky was falling. And that's how you got Trump derangement syndrome. That's why in the past 2 years, those who have been persistently resisting and confronting with Trump are actually from this circle, the deep state. John Brennan, the FBI director guy, they took advantage of their profession's resources and information. James Comey, they've been fooling and playing tricks on Trump. Wow. Hope that went over well. Interesting. That's how it seems to me. I've told you, guys, that the FBI are a bunch of dumb liberals, my age, younger than me, older than me, boomers, simps. You saw how James Comey was the head of the FBI, and his wife and daughters push him around, and they go to the those pink vulgar hat women's marches and vote for Hillary Clinton, and he's supposed to be a Republican, and he's supposed to be a man, and he's tall, not a man. And there were CIA people who went to Moby, the singer from the 90s. Some of you guys know Moby. I've talked about this before. Moby, the singer who sings that one song at the kind of dance. Oh, I don't know if he's a singer. He's more of like a DJ music guy, but sings a little bit. He sings that one song at the end of the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne movies. They got that guy to go fear-mongering on social media because he has a big platform. These are CIA people, dumb liberals, about Trump and Russia, the deep state, suckers. And some of them have power. And it includes that dumb whistleblower. Oh, man, I worked through the break. I forgot about that. I was going to take a quick break after Killian. What a mess. Here's another guy who was loved by the so-called deep state. I got an interesting question. Loved by the deep state because they're a bunch of dumb liberals, and he is a dumb liberal. Evil deceiver. Barack Obama. Obama's mad that he can't fool everybody. And he thinks that people can't think for themselves. And they can't. Those who are... Actually, I don't know if there is such a thing as people thinking for themselves, but people can see for themselves. Some people. that he's evil and that he's a liar and that he has no respect for America. He's a total phony. But this is from Just the News. Just the News seems like an objective outlet. I saw this shared by John Solomon on Twitter. Solomon is a guy who writes for The Hill, and he seems pretty honest. I'm not sure. But this is the headline. Obama blames Fox News and Rush Limbaugh for destroying the connection he had with conservatives. What connection? Well, he claims that he was able to, you know how Obama, he's called a good speaker. I don't think of him as a good speaker, but he is a very charming person, according to Bill O'Reilly, who is a fairly fair-minded journalist. I don't care what you guys say. O'Reilly is. And he said when he met Obama, he was going to confront him about some question or other, and Obama was just all ingratiating. And this is before he became president. And O'Reilly's like, this guy's going to become president because he was a very charming person. Charm is deceptive. It's a womanly female thing. Obama told the far left extremist anti-free speech PEN America virtual gala. Some of you guys might call it a gala, G-A-L-A, gala. There was a virtual gala because they're socially distanced, right? They don't want to catch the COVID. PEN America, P-E-N, all caps, PEN America. I've talked about them before. They pretend to be for free speech and freedom to write and for journalists and authors and all people who write, right? They're phonies. They're not for free speech. Where are they with YouTube and Facebook and Twitter censorship? Nowhere to be heard or found. They hate America. They're communists, basically. But anyway, he was accepting an award, by the way. PEN America awarded Obama the Voice of Influence Award during this online gala. They call it a virtual gala. Obama, who mocked the Tea Party, let the mainstream media accuse the Tea Party of being racist just because they're mostly white. White must be racist. Let Senate Majority Leader at the time, Harry Reid, the disgusting Democrat from Nevada, call the Tea Party terrorists. The Tea Party wanted to stop Obama's out-of-control spending and evil. Taxed enough already. Taxed enough already. That's what T stood for some. But he said, well, I have this clip. Listen to Obama talking to the far left anti-free speech. They pretend to be for free speech, but they're anti-free speech. Communists, PEN America. And this is a 2.5-minute clip, roughly. Maybe it's less, I forget. 2-minute clip. Obama lamenting that he can't meet with people in person and fool them. Here he is.
Ended up getting enormous support in these pretty conservative, rural, largely white communities when I was a senator. And that success was repeated when I ran for president in the first race in Iowa. By my second year in office, I'm not sure if I could make that same connection because now those same people are filtering me through Fox News and Rush Limbaugh and an entire conservative media infrastructure that was characterizing me in a way that suggested I looked down on those folks or I had nothing in common with them. Part of what changed is that back then, if I went into a small town in southern Illinois, I could probably visit the local editor of the newspaper, who might be a conservative guy with a bow tie and a crew cut, probably doesn't have much use for Democrats generally, but was somebody who adhered to journalistic norms, was curious, was interested, believed in facts. I could sit down with that guy and he might write an editorial saying, he's a young liberal kid from Chicago, but he seemed sensible, had some good ideas. And so that's how people were receiving me, with a different set of assumptions than they would today. And it's yet one more example of how the connections that I may see may get harder to make if we're only understanding people through our phones and our screens, and we're not having the kinds of face-to-face conversations where, by virtue of that conversation and experience, we can recognize ourselves in each other.
What a phony. What a sick person. And he talked about, oh, they have different assumptions about me. No, we see what a phony you are. We see you're a disgusting, evil, malicious person. He mocked the Tea Party. He said, you would think that they would be thanking me. Because he gave away free stuff like a sicko, a socialist, commie. And betrayed America, betrayed innocent unless proven guilty, accused whites and cops of racism endlessly. Oh, I've been followed around in stores, not explaining why, that blacks commit disproportionate theft in those stores, but saying, oh no, we're just victims. It's totally not based in rational reasoning. What a sicko. Obama is disgusting. This is the guy that Joe from Phoenix thinks was a great president. Brought Al Sharpton to the White House. Wasn't it like dozens of times, like 30-something times? I don't know. Brought Black Lives Matter, the scum of the earth, including DeRay McKesson, who stirred up riots and can't be sued. Cannot be sued because it's free speech. But yet the alt-right can get sued for the mishandled Charlottesville riots that were the result of poor leadership evil leadership, actually, in Charlottesville, in the ACLU, in the police, and in Antifa, and the mainstream media, and Black Lives Matter. All the scum of the earth colluded. It's actually their culture to be evil, corrupt, and maliciously, falsely accusing whites of racism when they're just expressing their rights as Americans. Disgusting. And Obama contributed to all this division. He increased it. He was the result of it, partly. Because it's a long time of weakness led to Obama. Look at both of those Bushes. We elected Bill Clinton, a liar-in-chief. Obama, a liar-in-chief. And then they accused Trump of lying. All of a sudden, they're interested in tracking the number of lies that the president makes once Trump is in office. And they're not even lies. Most of the stuff that they cite, they're not even lies. They're the truth. It's ridiculous. Let me just type a quick. Nick, check out my note. Rush Limbaugh. He mentioned Rush Limbaugh and Fox News and all the conservative media as though you guys can't think for yourselves and look at what he's saying and see that he's evil. Rush Limbaugh, everybody's all up in arms on Twitter, the phonies, the liars, the sleazy people. According to Drudge, Limbaugh says we're trending towards secession. And he points out how divided we are. And he talks about how over the decades, his decades on the radio, he's been active about as long as Jesse Lee Peterson's been active, maybe about the same, I guess. He talks about how, maybe more, I don't know. He talks about how the media became more and more brazenly partisan because people like him were calling them out. And isn't it the same thing as President Trump? The mainstream media went off the deep end. The more that Trump called them out, the more openly malicious and evil these people became. It's disgusting. He talks about how, as he called out their lies, because there was this pretense in decades past, right? 88 and around then, 1988, that the media is just reporting the truth, just the truth. But no, they were not just the truth, reporting just the truth. Many conspiracy theorists knew this. Of you guys who have been smeared as conspiracy theorists. And sometimes you guys go a little off the deep end, but you were right about a lot of this stuff too. And in return, they called Rush Limbaugh and conservatives and you and me racist and bigoted, etc. Bigoted, what does that even mean? It used to mean not able to tolerate other opinions. We're able to tolerate listening to it, but just say outright you're wrong, right? Because some of this stuff is not opinion, it's up for opinion, it's the truth. Truth is not facts. I'm wearing my Facts versus Truth t-shirt. Available at the Hake Report Teespring store. Teespring.com/stores/the Hake Report. But this guy talked about how liberal and corrupt the cities are and have become, all of the institutions. I don't know if he mentioned the institutions, the education, so-called education system, indoctrination system. Look at the media and social media. Look how brazen YouTube is in taking down stuff. And they don't want another 2016 to happen, right? Here's a quote from Rush Limbaugh. I actually think we are trending toward secession. Secession means that we break away from the United States and become our own country, right? That's what secession means. California has toyed with doing it because they hate President Trump that much. The South wanted to do it. The southern states did it, actually. They formed the Confederate States of America. That's why it was called the Confederacy. Different from the United States. Because they didn't want the federal government to rule over their lives and stuff, right? They wanted states' rights. Yeah, they wanted slavery, but I hear that slavery was on its way out. But anyways, slavery's like they're acting like it was this horrible thing. We do worse today. The Democrat Party is a much more evil party today than back then, I think. I wasn't around back then, but look at what they're doing today. Promoting abortion, baby killing, promoting smearing whites and men and Christians, undermining the integrity and of America, getting rid of the borders, getting rid of walls, no USA at all. That's the Democrats. They are evil. Wolves in sheep's clothing, right? And they're not the only wolves in sheep's clothing. A whole lot of RINOs too. And Limbaugh acknowledges this. He says, I see more and more people asking, what in the world do we have in common with the people who live in, say, New York? You know, these ridiculous, evil people. He talked about how much more separated our culture is becoming politically, and that it can't go on this way. There cannot be a peaceful coexistence of two completely different theories of life, theories of government, theories of how we manage our affairs. In other words, good doesn't get along with evil. Good overcomes evil, right? Don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's in the Bible. We can't be in this dire a conflict without something giving somewhere along the way. Well, there's a whole lot of giving on the part of the right. This is what people have been saying. What has conservatism conserved? You hear the alt-right talking about that. You hear the Groypers talking about that. They're not wrong. They're right. Look at what conservatism has conserved. We had, Reagan was so great. And then after Reagan, in the decades since Reagan, just a few decades, in my lifetime, accepting same-sex marriage out of like crazy, we have a presidential candidate who's the media is calling president-elect, Joe Biden, saying if a 8-year-old feels like he's transgender, we should honor that. Disgusting. He said, our problem is the fact that there are just so many RINOs so many Republicans in the Washington establishment who will do anything to maintain their membership in the establishment because of the perks and the opportunities that are presented for their kids and so forth, he said. That's interesting. I don't think it's just the perks and the opportunities. I think that there is a weakness. It's not just power and money, I don't think. I think it's a weakness of whites, of men, of so-called Christians who are just caving. A little caving here, a little caving there. Well, we'll get sucked into having a conversation when there should be no conversation. We just need to have a conversation about gun rights. No, we have our rights to our guns. End of conversation. It's not up for debate. No, racism does not exist. No, abortion is evil. It's not up for debate. It's not up for debate. It's killing a baby in the womb. It's not up for debate. But no, you have all these women saying, oh, but what about this or that and this or that? And then female-minded liberal males doing that. It's disgusting. Weirdos. And by the way, support for so-called Obamacare is back at a record high, according to Drudge, according to Gallup, which I take Gallup to be kind of a liberal outlet, establishment, because they have to be in order to be accepted, right? Affordable Care Act approval. This is out December 9th by Jeffrey M. Jones of Gallup. Gallup is a polling outlet. Affordable Care Act approval tied for a high. 55% approve of Obamacare, tying prior high from April 2017. Approval has typically been 50%, but now it's 55%. 50% or higher during Trump's years. Most Republicans disapprove of the law and want it repealed. But they talked about repeal and replace, and even Trump was saying, I don't like that. We don't need to replace it. Get rid of it entirely. Right? They don't have the right to push this on us. Look at what all the stuff that they infiltrated and put into it. They put transgender surgeries into, didn't they? Or am I wrong? Don't say that. Dr. Brandt is saying stuff about Drudge. I don't know if Drudge is involved much. Maybe he is. They definitely have this neocon guy who's an open neocon as one of the editors of Drudge now, right? And I've heard different things. It's in Wikipedia. Look it up. But they put abortion pills, the morning after pill, birth control, as the great Congressman Steve King, a Republican from Nevada, who doesn't seem, or at least doesn't talk like a RINO, like all these RINOs talk, and therefore he was smeared as a white supremacist and stripped of all his committee assignments. And the committee assignments, when you're in Congress, that's extra power that you have. He was in the House Judiciary Committee. He could have been on the committee that was hearing all of this stuff about, remember when they were so-called impeaching President Trump a year ago? They were impeaching President Trump a year ago. Meanwhile, this Chinese virus was so-called raging, right? And they're saying, oh, that's not important. There was actually a hearing in, I think, December from Trump administration people, and I don't know if these were good guys or not, in Congress about this COVID thing, but only a few either congressmen or senators showed up because they were busy so-called impeaching, this fake impeachment of President Trump, based on this deep state guy's so-called whistleblowing. Such shenanigans. But this Congrasian Steve King, who should remain on his committee appointments. Look at this guy who slept with a Asian woman who turned out supposedly to be a Chinese spy, and they're not getting rid of his committee appointments, at least not at this point. Maybe they will eventually, because it's like ridiculously embarrassing. This guy who used to, Eric Swalwell, is black, this white, so-called white, I don't know if he's real white, politician out of, what is he, from San Francisco or somewhere? I don't know if this guy's married. I don't know what he's coming from, but he's a Democrat, which is embarrassing. He's like a young male Democrat, mildly good looking. People think that he passed gas on TV, Eric Swalwell. Well, and he'd been saying, oh, Russian collusion and Trump and all that stuff. This guy was known by the FBI to be sleeping with or maybe not even sleeping. Maybe he didn't even do that. He hasn't confirmed that. Let me take that back. Maybe he didn't get with that Chinese spy, but he was definitely friendly with her. She bundled a bunch of money for him. And he was posing in pictures, I think, with her. Somebody says the Patriot Act was only supposed to be temporary. Yeah, nothing is temporary. None of this mess. Swalwell, you have Nancy Pelosi defending him, but the RINOs get rid of Congressman Steve King. But the point in bringing up Congressman Steve King, he said, why do we need all of this stuff being covered in this so-called Obamacare? They are trying to push birth control. Birth control we do not need. We have a declining population, especially in our native population. That's why he's being called a nativist. And whites are a declining population. I don't know if he came out and said that part. But whites are not having babies. And educated people, meaning brainwashed people, arrogant people, young people, are delaying getting married, having babies, all this stuff. We have a crisis in the culture of not making babies, not having families, not getting married. And meanwhile, all these illegals and immigrants are coming in and making all these babies and changing the culture. And we need English, by the way, to be the national language or state language, official language. That's the stuff that Congressman Steve King was saying. But no, Obamacare is very popular amongst the suckers. And then I have fake Christians, fake liberal Christians, who are like, well, this person was dying and they got their life saved thanks to Obamacare. That's not a reason to keep it. There's all kinds of different ways to get your life saved without bringing in socialism into America. Sick people. Weirdos. Surrendering to government control. I got an interesting comment from Enflu on the beat. It says, Hake, why vote if we're constantly choosing people who turn out to be the ones leading us to hell? I think we just got to get smarter. I think we can still vote. There's certain ones you can vote for. You think that of Trump? I know he appointed people who turned on him and turned on the country, but I don't think it's necessarily. I think we should still vote. And why? I think we should stop choosing people who turn out to be the ones leading us to hell. I think we can get wiser. I think a lot of people have gotten wiser, right? I don't know if wiser is the right word, but wise to the. We're on to them more than ever. And it's exposed thanks to people like Jesse Lee Peterson, Rush Limbaugh, President Trump, who've exposed the nastiness of these people just by being decent, telling the truth, and staying on it. Haven't you noticed that? I've noticed it. So I think that we just don't give up. Hopefully that answers your question. Influ on to beat. Good question. Cookie Boy says the Patriot Act was only supposed to be temporary. That's the George W. Bush mess. Sick people. Thank you to Ledge Klinger with the diamond. Says, keep it up, Hake. Making us whites proud. I didn't know you were white, Ledge Klinger. Thank you. Jib Jab gave a super chat on Streamlabs. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Said, bonus dears, Sir Hake. What happened to the cool Earl from Virginia, a.k.a. Substitute Earl? Adios, amigo. I'm out. Sunglasses emoji, dab emoji. Nice, Jib Jab. Did you hear her call? Last week, that was nice. Appreciate that. And thank you, too, to Hot Computer Smell, giving the tip. Having trouble sleeping? Don't worry. Hake has Earl's calls timestamped. Let me get to Darryl in Texas. Says, has a nice complaint. Listen to this. Darryl, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? I'm just calling in to ask you, why are so many Californians moving to Texas and then still voting the exact same way?
Blind and evil and arrogant. Well, the one who comes to mind is that Joe Rogan guy. Joe Rogan, didn't he move to Texas?
Yes, Joe Rogan did. Elon Musk just did yesterday. And basically every big tech company is moving here because our government keeps giving them these massive tax deductions while shutting down small businesses. And then they're going to bring in their six-figure socialist armies. They don't hire anybody locally.
Yeah.
They bring everybody from California. There's a new IRS.
Or from overseas. Anyway.
I'm sorry?
Or from overseas they bring in people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That actually goes into John Cornyn supporting this new H-1B cap removal for Indians, which, for people who don't know, Indian Americans who actually own their own businesses are largely Republican, but the ones who work for big tech companies are almost entirely Democrat, so it's actually a terrible thing for Republicans. But, I mean, we had a new IRS study that came out that said that 40% of Texans are not born in Texas. They're like and half of the out-of-state Texans are from either California, New York, or Illinois. So they're heavily Democrat. But, I mean, the thing is that their policies are going to destroy the entire economy of the state because the oil industry basically pays all of the taxes for the state. I mean, in 2019, we got $16 billion for state and local tax revenue from the oil and gas industry because we don't have an income tax. And we just passed an amendment that says you can't have an income tax. So if we get rid of the oil industry like the Democrats want, we're not going to have any way to fund anything. I mean, the entire teacher retirement pension is funded by the oil system, so that's just going to be a massive pop. Texas Education Agency gets $800 million from the oil and gas industry. Our Texas Water Development Board is funded entirely by almost entirely by the Texas oil and gas industry. And it's just, I don't know why we just keep like funding these people to come in. And then Elon Musk coming to Texas, the guy who probably has the best chance of destroying the oil industry and gets $2 billion in government subsidies for his Tesla clean energy company, is going to completely destroy the economy. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, look how stupid Californians are. We got all their businesses. I'm like, yeah, we got all the businesses for the people who are going to destroy the economy for everyone who lives outside of Austin and Dallas.
That's true, man. That's a good point. How they've been, like, they're setting it up to get corrupted. Ill-gotten gain, man. They're not considering the culture change. And the big cities in Texas, correct me if I'm wrong, most, if not all of them, have become corrupt and liberal and anti-American and anti-Texas.
Oh, that's absolutely true. So the only county that was a major population hub, or a major city, I would say, that voted decently Republican was Houston. So Harris County voted 700,000 votes for Donald Trump, 900,000 for Biden, which is for a big city, it's pretty close. But that's because the oil industry is very prominent in Houston, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to Dallas, it was like a 75-25 split in Dallas, which is a historically extremely conservative county. And then you have Austin, which is it used to be fairly blue, but I mean it's complete. It's like San Francisco now.
Wow.
And it's absolutely ridiculous seeing these people bragging about, oh, Hewlett Packard just moved to Houston. Oh, Apple just moved their headquarters to Austin. Like a year ago. That's a horrible thing. They're going to bring in thousands of highly paid people who, for people who don't know as well, big tech companies donated, like the employees who get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, donated to Biden 51 times more than they donated to Trump. I mean, it's not even close how liberal they are.
You're right.
And they hate the people who pay their taxes because they don't have to pay taxes in the state. Right? The oil industry pays the taxes. And then the other aspect is we have the biggest cattle industry in the entire country. We have 13 million cattle in the state. And you have the Green New Deal blatantly saying they want to eliminate farting cows, right? So, I mean, how are we going to, we're just going to destroy our second biggest sector, which is agriculture.
Yeah.
And then our first biggest sector is oil. I mean, how are we going to fund anything? The whole state's going to explode. The whole state's going to look like Detroit if Democrats take over.
I don't see how people don't realize that these huge companies are enemies largely, right? Largely.
Right.
vast majority enemies of America. The vast majority of these companies, and I'm talking about within each company, there might be like one bright light, like that one guy, Damore, but he was fired from Google after he came out and blew the whistle on Google, right?
Right.
And all these people, these people are sick. They're corrupters of the country every bit as much as the corrupt liberal government is the corrupt liberal corporations. They're disgusting. They support Black Lives Matter. They support the LGBTQIA stuff. They support the smear upon whites and men and Christians and all of that stuff. It's not a thing to celebrate just because they have a lot of money coming in.
Well, we just had Amazon made 2 different offices, one in Austin and one in Dallas, probably the biggest enemy of small mom and pop owned businesses.
Yep.
And they were supporting the lockdowns, and then they were blatantly supporting Black Lives Matter, who, in my opinion, Black Lives Matter and Antifa were the biggest employees for Jeff Bezos ever. They added more money to his net worth than any of his engineers ever did. I mean, he gained what, $60 billion since the lockdown. So because he was literally giving money to Black Lives Matter, who was going around burning down all the small businesses. So you have to buy from him.
And falsely accusing whites and cops and everything is evil.
It was alt-right militias.
Right, I know. It's so ridiculous.
They basically tell you don't watch the Earl. You watched this video, you saw it happen, and you saw what the people look like doing it. But yeah, they were actually Trump supporters. Like, okay, dude,
I know.
Sure.
I think you're referring to that fake black preacher guy who worked at Azusa Pacific University, my so-called Christian school, who was interviewed on the Jesse Lee Peterson show called The Fallen State this past weekend, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, many people were saying the same thing. They're saying, oh, no, that was the alt-right white supremacists doing that. That was the Proud Boys, as if the Proud Boys. You know, man, it's so, I forget what I was going to say. But, Amazon, I heard that they were hiring 1,400 people a day and 1,000 in the United States per day. And, you know, I think that it may be wise for some people, a few maybe, to go and work for these huge corporations and be a humble, bright light or humble light in those organizations. One, you can make money off of these sinners. And 2, you can be a light in a dark place. Because think about like Amazon. I always bring up Yahoo. Yahoo is the scum of the earth. They're evil. They push the far left propaganda. So does Google, right? Everything. But Yahoo had this guy who liked Jesse Lee Peterson, apparently, and put out a very nice feature, and it told Jesse's message. There's no racism. You need to forgive, overcome your anger towards your mother, and return to your father and all that stuff. He's telling this thing, and racism doesn't exist, and White History Month and all that. He's doing that, and that's featured on Yahoo in 2018. And it's a fair coverage. It's fair coverage. And he is a notable man. So it's notable. And those little things, I mean, that's like a bigger thing, flashier thing, because that's showbiz, right? Kind of. Mm-hmm. But there's all kinds of ways to do right in the world. And it can be in an evil place, in an evil company. So it's just something to think about, because there's maybe people who like Amazon. I would never work for them. They're evil, which they are. But I don't know. It's something to think about, that you could be in the world but not of it, right? So
no, I mean, that makes sense. It's probably not a bad idea. I think that maybe I try to infiltrate them and then also cancel their services at the same time, because people, I mean, everyone who complains about Amazon, almost all of them have a Prime account. Like, dude,
right.
You're funding the globalists.
Yeah.
You're funding the people who are making your house prices unlivable.
Yeah.
Like, nobody can afford rent anymore because everyone brings in The people who live here already, their salaries don't go up because Amazon moves here. They just have to pay more for their rent or their mortgage because their property taxes go up.
America
goes up.
America didn't used to be this much of easy living. And now that it is, the people are so corrupt and spoiled, and they're thinking that they're getting away with it. We think that we're getting away with being corrupt and spoiled, but meanwhile, the country is rotting. And we're just open to destruction. And we are being destroyed. It's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even Texas, Beto O'Rourke in his Senate race, he got $22 million from out-of-state funding. That's ridiculous for a Senate race.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a presidential race. Like, this is a Senate race. And, yeah, $22 million from California. And then he's openly saying he wants to ban fracking in Texas.
Right.
Which, if Texas was its own country, it would be the third largest oil economy in the entire world. It passed up Iran and Iraq under Donald Trump, as Donald Trump gave a lot of subsidies to help drill oil in West Texas.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, we're literally bigger than Iran and Iraq. The only OPEC country that has more oil than Texas is Saudi Arabia now. And so this idea that we're just going to completely destroy the entire source. I mean, we get a 7% production on gas tax, and we have a 4.5% production on oil tax, which basically funds everything in the state because we don't have an income tax. And then our state representative, Jeff Leach, just passed an amendment to the state constitution that we can't have an income tax. So they would have to have a massive majority to repeal that and replace it with an income tax. And even if they do that, the problem with that is the big corporations are going to pay it. Just the small businesses are going to pay it. We all know it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's awful, man. I appreciate it, Darryl. It's good to hear from you. Great call.
All right. I appreciate it.
Take care. Wow. Let me get to Tony in California. I was just talking about Tony, his mess. Tony, did you hear Greg's call yesterday?
Yeah, I heard that coon talking about me yesterday.
That coon for truth.
Oh my God, really?
Yes, really.
I mean, there's so many people are so blind and so
I know.
culturally.
That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about, Tony.
Well, I'm talking about him being culturally conditioned today. That's what I'm
culturally conditioned to love the truth and reject lies and like facts and make sure that you're citing facts and not lies like you.
Okay.
That's cultural conditioning, okay? According to Tony.
Okay, Mr. Spin Factor. The reason I call you today is Cynthia Johnson has been receiving all kinds of racial bigot phone calls, and she left them on her voicemail.
Cynthia Johnson is that short-haired lady with the bleached hair. I'm interrupting you, Tony, to explain who Cynthia Johnson. Cynthia A. Sure. She was called State Representative C.A. Johnson of Michigan, right? She's the one who's saying they're lying, and I know they're lying. And then she said, "Are you an honest person?" to Rudy Giuliani, scum of the earth woman, just an evil person.
She had Giuliani sweating the dye in his head. That's how bad he was.
No, you're mixing up situations. He didn't sweat in that case. He didn't sweat in that hearing.
Well, was one of them that he passed gas and I guess the sweat came out of his hair.
Whoa.
One of them. So, but the thing is, sir, y'all said racism don't exist, but she proved to America that racism is alive and well.
You sound like a woman. You sound like a woman, Tony.
See, there you go again, sir. I mean, that's your opinion. Everyone has one.
Thank you.
But the thing is,
because you sound like a woman. Racism is not alive. That woman is evil, and she was phony, and she showed her rear end being disgusting, and it's no wonder she's catching nasty comments. She's a nasty woman. You reap what you sow.
No.
Look at this woman.
Really? Wow. Reap what you sow. Wow. Listen to this here.
I'm not saying that it's right. I don't know if it's true what she's claiming. But look at this woman.
I sent the video to your producer, but he refused to play it. I sent it to him so he could play it.
Well, you know what, Tony? I think you got mental problems because you inundate people You send email after email after email after email. It's ridiculous. What's wrong with you?
Well, I'm just trying. I'm trying to let y'all. I want the truth to be told, but y'all refuse.
How old are you? 52.
Old enough to be your daddy.
You're 52 or something like that.
Old enough to be your father. Okay.
If you were 13, dang.
But
Are you 52?
You don't have no children, do you?
No. Are you?
I figured that.
I know, but you
don't even have a relationship.
Are you Gen X?
Gen X.
Are you Generation X? Or are you a boomer? I think he's 52.
No, I'm a boomer, brother. I'm a boomer.
No, you're 52. Aren't you in your 50s, your early 50s?
No, I just turned 60 last month.
Oh, he's a boomer. I guess he's a boomer.
It's October.
Well, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Tony.
Well,
but Tony,
Mr. Hake.
when you used to send letters, did you ever send a letter to anybody?
A letter?
Yeah. You ever write a letter to anybody?
To a female, yes.
And how many letters did you write to that female at a time?
That's one at a time, sir.
Yeah. Then how come you don't just do that with the emails? You send
because
like 40
I want
emails.
y'all to play my email, and y'all refuse to play them. So
no, listen, Tony. I'm exposing your dirt right here on air. This guy.
Because there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing.
Yes, there is. I mean, I get that you're a boomer, right? You don't know better. But this guy would send like 40 emails to our producers. How are we supposed to even wade through that? Why don't you just go through, make a list of the key stories that you like and send one email? But no. That would be too young person logic.
No.
Logical. That would be too logical. You're a boomer. We don't look at those emails. We block your email address because you're so insane. You got problems, Tony. Are you retired or something? Are you retired?
Yes, of course I've been retired 15 years ago.
Oh, then how come you said that you're a trucker? Are you still trucking?
I am a trucker. I work when I feel like working.
Well, maybe you should work more and email less because you're too into this stuff.
No.
Because you're believing.
I have a very comfortable American life.
I know, and that's all of our problems. We are too comfortable American life. Too comfortable. Meanwhile, we're getting more and more corrupt and spoiled.
Can I invite you and Jesse Lee Peterson and the little Mexican dude and Chris with the African loop ears and Joel that's ignorant to the fact. Not saying he's stupid, but he's ignorant for following the things that y'all do. Because I know deep in his heart he knows it's wrong. I'm ready for y'all to come to Chicago. I will pay for y'all plane ticket to go to Chicago. We go on the deep west side and south side of Chicago, and we're going to speak to the gang leaders and see what we can do as a group, American group, want to see if we can stop the violence, stop the drug dealing, and see if we can put some type of jobs and opportunity in the areas of Chicago where the poverty is bad and where the crime is bad. Well, would y'all be interested in going?
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the contact Bond, 800-411-BOND, and talk to the person who would set up the logistics of some type of trip along those lines. I don't know if talking to gang leaders, but only call once. Don't call dozens of times or send dozens of emails.
I'm talking to you now to see
if
we can make this thing work. And then you can bring your camera.
But you don't like Jesse. Do you like Jesse Lee Peterson's solutions? By the way, shout out to quickly before you answer that, Tony. Shout out to Beardson Beardsley hosting the Hake Report on D Live. Nice. Appreciate that, man. Over 1,000 viewers too. Sweet.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Tony.
Did he give you a diamond?
No, he's hosting. He's hosting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm happy for you guys. Y'all some entertaining guys, man.
I appreciate that.
I can't wait.
But do you agree with Jesse Lee Peterson? Hold on. Do you agree with Jesse Lee Peterson's message of forgiveness and overcoming? You don't believe in forgiveness?
No, hell no.
Heck no.
You
Wow.
must be out of time for
Then how
forgive-
come you're
forgive
willing to
what?
pay all that money for
White
all of
folks-
us to come over?
White folks don't forgive nobody. So why would you want me to forgive somebody? Come on now. White folks ain't never forgave nobody. Come on, man.
Are you a Christian?
What's that?
Is that a no?
What is that?
Is that no?
What is that?
You don't know what a Christian is?
Man, look, I don't believe in no labels. I don't believe in no labels, man. I don't deal with that. If you can't
So
deal
you're a
with God
liberal.
and the personal,
So
most
you're a
spiritual way,
dumb liberal is what you're telling me.
Well, you call it what you want. Once again,
Yeah.
that's your opinion. Just like everybody got a butthole. That's your
Whoa,
opinion
whoa,
about
whoa. Too explicit there, buddy.
that. Well, I mean, I didn't care.
I appreciate it, man. Tony, I got to run.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you for the tip on Cynthia Johnson.
sir.
Don't threaten her, people, and don't be nasty like she's nasty. Overcome evil with
No,
good. Thank you, Tony.
Hate is hate.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too. What a mess. People come into live chat to argue in bad faith. For example, such and such says Groiper El Gropo. Interesting. Maybe I shouldn't thank Beardson Beardley, but I thought that he was a good guy. So I don't know. Anyway, Maze in Dayton, Ohio, my favorite caller.
Yes, James.
Hey,
How are you today? I'm going to do it fast.
fine.
Now, you want Big Tech to leave, and y'all having a complaint about it. Y'all not smart enough to have Big Tech. You wouldn't have your phone. You wouldn't have anything that they got out there, them liberals, as you call them, because they're making it possible for you to have your cell phone, to have your show, and all the other things you do. You should be thanking them.
Well, I do thank them for that. Thank you, Big Tech. Thank
And
you.
my other point is, the lady that was on this morning that Jesse was playing, you didn't play why she was her response to what they were doing to her. You didn't play the first tape. You just played the second part for the ill and uninformed. They wanted to harm her. So what do you think about those people that were threatening the lady and she was responding to it?
If that's true, that's evil. If they want to harm
If it's
her.
true, the same videotape that you picked, that when she was responding to it, they have that one out there with her.
I'm not
and
Jesse
telling
Lee
what they
Peter.
did and say
Okay,
yes.
she's talking
No, I'm not,
about.
you're not.
Let me talk. She's talking about State Representative C.A. Johnson, Cynthia A. Johnson, that short-haired, really nasty,
Yes, you
evil
are.
lady, who's
And she was-
really evil. And no, I'm not Jesse Lee Peterson's producer, so yell at Nick about
No.
that one.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that she was giving a response to the ill and uninformed that threatened her. And there's a
And
video.
so, is
I
it
saw a
right for
video,
her to?
but
Is it right, Maze, for her to threaten them back after
I want
after
you to tell
they?
me, how do people deal with the ill and uninformed that's being threatened? Just like that other lady where they went into her
Oh,
house.
so you
and
approve of her?
We didn't see that. Excuse me?
You approve
She
of
was
her
giving
threatening?
A response and, no, she was giving a response and people starting to hate her and didn't even understand. That's what you mean. Telling the truth will set you free. Telling a lie will keep you in limbo all the time.
Is that what
That's
happened to
y'all
you?
Problem. Excuse me, no. The ill and uninformed is like that. They'll go out and hurt somebody. Why are they talking about killing people? I mean, why is this so?
You're breaking up,
can
Maze.
share.
You're breaking up.
So we can share. Y'all need to learn how to share. That's the problem.
No,
You'll never
sharing
talk
is
to share.
communist. We don't share. We
and
share
when you're born
freely.
again,
We share
and
freely
being
only.
born- and I'm gonna tell you about being born again. When
Oh,
you're born
gosh.
again, you don't turn around and commit the same crime you did before you committed to being born again. But
Right.
you want, as I say, you want to ask for forgiveness and sin again. So you haven't been born again at all. When you're born
Okay.
again, you don't commit. You don't have hatred in you at all. Do hateful things either? Do you?
Right.
Listen, you're confusing me.
Yeah.
So some people are confused with this born again
Maze.
stuff.
Maze is preaching today.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
are.
giving you a piece
That's
of what
preaching.
I think.
I know it's what you
like
think.
I said.
Maze, that's rich for you to say that, but thank
And
you.
Jesse ought to be ashamed he's telling somebody to throw a finger at somebody.
You
in the
need to
name
check
of Jesus.
yourself.
Tell him I said he needs to stop it. 'Cause his
I'm not
grandmother
telling
would've
him
slapped
any.
to the
I'm
other
not
side of
telling
the
him
room.
nothing
He can hear me. I'm quite sure he's listening because I can't get on and tell him myself.
because
I
my
don't like
show
to talk
is
at people. I like
excellent.
to talk to people. I like to talk to people. And
Right.
he's still uninformed, don't have enough nothing to have a conversation with people. They always want to argue and think somebody's trying to get a point across, and they don't even have a point.
Yeah.
with that, James,
Speak
Your
of the
time is
devil,
running out.
a lady without a point.
Excuse me? And I just proved that you, without technology, what can you do? And with the oil field can't do nothing for you.
I know, but they don't have to be liberal evil people.
You got to pay.
At one point, Google said, "Don't be evil," and now they got rid of that. And that's a creepy thing anyway. But then they got rid of it. That's even more creepy. Anyway, Maze, I got to run. Nice talking with you.
It's just ridiculous when y'all complain about these liberal people, and you got to benefit from everything that they got. Leave that stuff alone, and maybe you.
I'll take this stuff, but I won't take their mess.
I know you will take it. That's the way y'all do stuff.
Right.
Have a good one.
You too. What a mess. All right, guys. Hope you were able to enjoy. If you didn't, you can check it out. The Bond Sunday service premiere from yesterday on Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. Check it out if not. TheHakeReport.com for my stuff. The Teespring store is a link in the menu if you want to check out. I have other designs there too. JesseLeePeterson.com for all things Jesse Lee Peterson, including links to Bond and The Fallen State. All right, guys? And JoelFridayTV.com. Also, TheGiftedOfDance.com.
Amazing!
2 sites. All right, guys? Take care.